Right.
But for some reason now they're coming after me for the 2 cases in Ipoh.
They're still after you?
Yeah. I
But they haven't really quite managed to make a case for it.
not
Because they
yet.
don't have anything to make it into a case.
That's what my logic tells me, but the government today has become quite illogical.
All right.
Okay.
Are we okay to go now?
Okay.
Okay. Right. Hello, everyone. So I'm back with another episode. I was just asking my guest just now to check on what episode this is, because I've lost track of how many episodes I've done so far for this podcast. I've been rather busy in the last couple of weeks. But anyway, coming back to what we have on for this episode, I'm very happy to have my guest on today. And she's a friend. And I've realized actually all my guests so far have been women. I booked a guy. He was supposed to come on this episode, on the 7th one. But long story short, it got cancelled. And I just brought this lady on further, forward and brought her ahead, as it should be. So my guest on today is a friend who I've known since joining the Malaysian Freedom Movement gang, basically, because I was actually part of the startup at the beginning, and then I kind of went quiet a little bit, and then recently I've been involved again, which is why I've been busy the last couple of weeks. So I've known her for the last at least half a year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And some of you might have actually heard of her and seen her on the internet, because she actually became somewhat of an internet sensation, as they call it, back in September, which was only a few recent months ago. And it was after her little speech at the Ministry of Higher Education. And it was recorded, obviously, and put up on the internet, and it went viral. And now she is popularly and aptly known as Lioness Liyana for her resilience and in fighting the powers that be. So, welcome to Unmuzzled, Liyana.
Thanks, Hazween. It's a pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to have you. So, where do we start, eh? So actually, yesterday we had a full day.
Yeah.
I was with you the whole day, basically. It began with our recording session. Well, it wasn't a recording session. It was actually a live session.
Yeah.
That went straight out on the MFM Facebook page, right? So we had a live, and you were moderating the live. It was a women's empowerment talk.
Yeah.
Maybe you could just kind of give us a little bit of the details on that before we get to you today. Just want to refresh their memory on what MFM had
The
yesterday.
idea came about after Kit and Mel attended the mini protest for the Acta 342.
Mm-hmm.
And by that time from my experience, and then there was Carrie's experience, and then the two ladies' experience, basically, I wouldn't call it a clash, but they encountered the experience of dealing with the police, and some were heavy-handed, and not heavy-handed. Some were playing the bad cop, tried to give them the jitters. So, and when we realized that it wasn't really anything, at the end of the day, we decided that we needed to compile all these stories, to convey it to the people, to the public, especially the women, to say that it's just empty threats. It's just basically bullying, and none of it was legally done, and nothing happened, and we're all in good spirits, and we still have each other, and just keep standing tall and standing your ground. basically the intention behind the talk, and that's how it started.
Great. And just for context, for those who might haven't heard of MFM, if you're not Malaysian, that is, but I'm pretty sure a lot of Malaysians still aren't aware. We've only recently kind of, became this full-blown, I guess, movement, NGO, if you want to call it that. Although we don't really, I wouldn't say we are well established as of yet, but we are putting stuff out there. And you are definitely one of the strong or the stronger voices out there, lending your voice.
I'm one of the content. I'm a content. I'm one of the content.
But you are definitely, you're the face and the voice. And a lot of people, if they come across the MFM page, which again is stands for Malaysian Freedom Movement, they will find you on the other lives as well. Interviews you've done with the previous one with Dr. Joanne.
Yeah, those were the recent works that we did, right? Yeah. Mainly for the content. Yeah.
So I have someone who's really great, actually.
Okay.
Right. So now to get down to the details about you now, because that's what it's all about for this episode, right? So I've known you personally over the last half year or so, right?
Yeah.
All through our involvement with MFM.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned at the beginning, at the beginning, during the startup, I was there. I was part of all the, the first Google
Meets. I came much
Meets.
later after you, actually.
You did, didn't you? Yeah.
And when I joined the group, it was all about just trying to make sense of, what was happening within the country, within the world, in the world at that time.
Right.
And we were just sharing, news, stuff. Information from alternative media, and it was just trying to make sense of things. That was what MFM was for me at that time. It wasn't about work. It was just trying to connect with people who have an idea what's actually going on behind all these the narratives that they're pushing down our throats, basically. And that's how I just continued to be involved. It was just in the chat group, basically.
Yeah, it did start off as just that, but then we kind of organically grew.
Yeah. Someone said, maybe it was Alif, but someone said something has to be has to be done. And
Alif is the founder, by the way. For those who don't know.
And I remember you were you suggested doing the 20-second videos,
okay.
And then you were gonna stitch it all up together.
Oh, we're gonna go there now. So that was actually one of the first initiatives.
I remember the first project was the Buka Malaysia Lawan.
Oh yes,
the black flag thing.
Did you send in a picture? You did.
I got my kids to pose and edited the picture, poorly edited on the phone. So that was like the first project.
Yeah, I had my picture sent as well, and it was posted
funny.
on I think it was both the FB and the Instagram pages on MFM. We were very, very new then.
Yeah.
We hardly had any followers, didn't we? Back then. And then a few
and then the protests around the world
was
picking up. And we're like, we have to do this.
Yeah, we had and then a few short kind of weeks later, then I remember it was during Eid al-Hajj. Eid al-Adha. Well, basically Raya Haji lah.
Okay.
That was when I put out the video, the 20-second campaign, 20-second video campaign. And it ended up with just me putting out the video, and I went viral. But I don't want to really go into that. But there's this kind of we have this joke running around in our group that this group is full of people with all these misdemeanors. And Penjenayah has this. We're all kind of wanted by the powers that be. And then you came on after that, and then shortly after that it was Kerry, our friend.
Yeah.
So but it just speaks volume of the kind of people that we are. We are just resilient. We never stop. We won't back down.
Yeah, it's become an obsession actually for me. Not really. It's become a principle, not an obsession. I'm not obsessed about these things. It's just a principle,
Yep. It is a matter of principle. Yeah.
I just have to live my truth. If not, I
Exactly.
feel like a hypocrite, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
All right. So I want my listeners to get to know you now. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Like, what do you do for a living? Apart from being this very strong and outspoken, resilient woman.
I'm not strong. I'm not outspoken. But it was just at the spur of the moment. It came out raw.
Right.
If I could have scripted it.
But you are though.
Yeah.
I spent the whole day with you yesterday. Being the sound guy for your live.
It's something triggered. It triggered me at that time. But usually I'm very docile.
Are you?
Yeah.
I wouldn't take you for someone like that.
Quiet. I find talking quite taxing after a while. Yeah. So I was quite quiet after the talk. Remember?
You were, yeah. At dinner, you were, yeah.
I was just absorbing. So I'm more of a listener actually.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't talk as much unless I've got something really, something that's part of something that's really burgeoning in me that I have to say it out. I'll say yeah. So anyway, professionally, I was trained as a computer engineer. I studied locally in UTM Skudai, but then I figured out halfway through the course that it wasn't really my calling, and then I went into retail. I was importing stuff from the Middle East and selling stuff, and then after a while, then I got married, became a stay at home mom, and then I picked up teaching. I taught for 5 years English. Took up some professional course to teach English for 5 years, and then because of my interest in health, I've always had this interest in health because as a child, I was a sickly child with back issues, and never knowing why am I not the same like other children who are very flexible, who's pain free. So I only knew my condition when I was an adult, a young adult, and I realized that I've got a spinal issue, and so I've always been on the hunt for the next cure for this stiffness or this pain in my back, and that's how I ended up being the therapist I am today.
Right.
So yeah, so while I was teaching,
And what kind of therapist are you exactly?
It's a Japanese massage combined with Japanese chiropractic therapy, and called Yumeho.
Okay.
There's a meaning for you and me and ho, but it basically means hip bone balancing therapy.
All right.
Yeah. So I'm obsessed about the spine, about the hip bone, displaced hip bones, because this is the condition that I had, or I still have. I have to live with this stiffness throughout the day, and I've gotten used to it. But I would love to feel for a day just pain free, But
you still have? Is it still pretty intense?
It depends. Yeah, I need to know. By now, I know how to read my body. After a while, I need to take a break. Just sit back, lie down, relax. I can't keep on going. If not, I'll injure myself. Yeah. So that's how I stumbled upon this Yumeho therapy. I mean, to do a chiropractic course wasn't practical for me because I was already in my mid-30s, and to do a chiropractic course, it would take like 4 years.
Yeah.
You have to go to the university, and so this was a practical seminar,
all right,
a hands-on course to attend, and that's how.
And you got basically you need to get qualification, right?
Yeah.
Great.
And so health has always been a central theme, in my personal interests, and here we are today, basically.
Yeah. And I come to you for a lot of like health and wellness advice.
Yeah. It's all.
You're like my sounding board, basically, because
Okay.
you're full of wisdom. I feel
it's from a lot of reading and bouncing off ideas with other people, and just trying to make sense of of what of our how we're made, how we're built,
Mhm.
how we're supposed to function, and what's the purpose. What's the purpose of us being here, and so then I realized that health is actually it is actually a combination of mind, spiritual, and physical aspect of a human being. Basically, it has to come together.
Of course, yeah.
So I'm learning every day. I'm learning, about these things.
Mm-hmm.
Just want to be a balanced person.
And the thing is, while you say that it's supposed to be this whole spectrum of things, when you talk about health, you're talking about your mental, spiritual health, and all sorts. While that has always been the norm, I think it has trying to raise that as a point, right, has really never been controversial up until this whole COVID madness began.
Yes.
And now when you try to even point out, hey, let's take a step back, and before we get too obsessed with these vaccines and can't we just can't we try at least all these other alternatives? But yeah, even trying to
just
bring
going
that
back
up,
to basics.
exactly. But you get even before you get to that, you get censored, right? And there's this. As I said, it didn't used to be controversial. It was never controversial before. People talked about alternative, medicine, or I guess now they just call it pseudoscience. It's not.
It's not. No.
These are all proven alternatives. Yeah, exactly.
Evidence-based.
There's been a lot of written, well-written articles and academic papers that have been reviewed, peer-reviewed.
Yeah.
But suddenly now you bring those up and you are a quack. Or you're pushing a very dangerous anti-vaccine narrative.
Yeah.
I spoke, and I told you about this, right? We had a little chat. I spoke to Elizabeth Huxtable who was on one of my earlier podcasts. Yeah. And again, that to me, it makes a lot of sense, the way that she explained it. And if you've all listened to the that episode, it all makes perfect sense. There's a lot of science to it. I mean, the whole thing is scientific. Talk about how sound is a form of energy, right? It has to go through a medium. The same way that you, as a therapist, would do the same. You are transferring, I guess, energy, healing energy over to your clients, your patients, in perhaps a different way than sound waves or sound frequencies behave, right? But coming back to the idea that now it's like it's crazy just how obsessive people are with just one way of looking at things.
Yeah.
Because it's all, this is what the media wants you to think, or the powers that be want you to think. And they instantly vilify, almost criminalize people who just, try to speak differently or have any opposing, or even just to question, like, wait a minute, right?
Yeah.
So when is this gonna not? I guess. I mean, I think you're kind of tired already of being asked this question, but is it ever gonna stop? This craziness.
Not for as long as we as a nation or as the people wake up, from this delusion. I think because you have to understand that as the human being is not just a physical being. There is the emotional aspect of the human, the individual. That's the spiritual aspect of the person. That's the mental aspect of the person. And so there's so many factors coming into play. And one of the things that we do know, at least 10, 15 years ago, when researchers started to delve into the brain science research, they found that that thought alone can lead to health or disease. So you may be looking for the next cure, next physical cure, but if you don't rein in your thoughts, you don't rein in, you're not in control of your thoughts, and And if you keep on ruminating on negative thoughts, which leads to negative emotions, it will release the biochemicals from the brain into the body that may lead to cancer.
Yeah, I've heard of a lot of those cases where rather it's on the opposite, where when people are just so strong-willed, and they know that it just some people, and one was actually my late aunt. I mean, she just recently passed, but she was cancer-free for a very long time, and she actually didn't even go through chemo. I think she probably had 1 or 2 rounds, but then she decided, nope, not anymore, not for me. Like if I'm gonna beat this thing, I'm not gonna let the treatment make me even sicker, right? So she just powered through, man. I mean, she didn't have any chemo, just by being resilient. Like I remember one time I think it was probably one of the last few ones that she went to, and immediately, a lot of people after their treatment, their chemo rounds, they'll end up being very poorly and sick, and they're just like there's no life in them, right? She'll be like right off from the hospital, and then she'll get her husband to send her to like Jalan like Chowkit, and get stuff, and then she'll come back and start cooking, and she'll be moving furniture around, like as if she's not actually. And the first time she was diagnosed with stage 3. I think it was colon cancer. It started below, actually, from her uterus. I think it was cervix, but it kind of spread, and by the time it got to that, it was already a late stage. But she just powered on, and I absolutely believe that what made her cancer free for all those years was her resilience. I mean, she just didn't accept that was she was fated to be this ill person, and cancer free for many years. So again, it brings me to the idea of why is it suddenly controversial over the last 2 years, and we're not seeing any. I mean, we're seeing a lot of people being more awake, I guess, in the sense that they are seeing through all the lies and the twists. But I still think that has there been a shift at some point in the way we teach people? Like, I guess if if you want to talk about health, perhaps you need to go to the core of how we teach people about medicine, for example, right? So if we look at the medical industry, people who study medicine, doctors and all that, has there been a shift that I'm not aware of?
No. I mean, the problem is the basis of the medical fraternity or the medical industry is money. It's all about profits. If you were to achieve true health, really comes from the free things. How do you charge people? To think. How do you charge someone to teach you how to think positively? I don't know. How do you charge? How do you make money out of selling herbs? How do you make money just from telling people practice a good diet, just eat good food? So it's so you see the narrative is being pushed by all the advertising. That is basically powered by money. There's a lot of the motivation is mainly profits. Because I tell my patients, some who are overweight, I said the best way to lose weight, and it's been proven and it's advocated by awakened doctors, medical doctors, is basically to fast. Whether you want to do extended fasting, whether you want to do intermittent fasting, and it's free. Yeah. You actually save so much if you just eat one meal a day. You eat one meal a day. And so you save all this money, and you can do other fun stuff with it. How do you So this is the thing that, and it's revolutionary because there are so many thousands, hundreds, if not thousands, of testimonies of everyday people, you know, from 200 kilos, 150 kilos, they shrunk themselves down to the ideal weight.
I used to be in the over 100 club.
There you go. Yeah.
I lost about 20 plus kilos
So
in the last 2 years.
It's all about trying to discover, you know, how your body works and trying to do it naturally compared to others who want to go for the shortcut. You know, the gastroplasty. What do you call it? What's the word?
Bariatric surgery.
Bariatric surgery. Yeah.
It basically shrinks your stomach.
Yeah, shrinks your stomach.
Yeah.
But then you
or you staple it or something.
Yeah,
basically.
but then you lose too fast that your skin can't shrink
Yeah.
fast enough, and then you
So
start
you get
having
a lot
saggy,
of loose skin.
loose
And then you
skin.
got to get the
And then-
surgery to
Yeah, and it costs thousands.
take out the loose skin.
tens and thousands. And so
I mean, I personally don't have anything against that because, you know, I guess there is a very valid medical concern for some people, especially, you know, if there's there's an underlying condition, especially if it's genetic or, you know, because there are many other factors that are out of your control, actually, you know, and this is something I've learned over my time, you know, going through this myself. So I don't have anything against it if the doctors are really, you know, if the doctors are really sure and, you know, assuming that the doctor is someone you can really trust their opinion, then I think, you know, there's nothing wrong with that they should probably get it.
I strongly feel against that.
You are?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Because I've seen an obese guy who couldn't get out of bed. And he basically fasted his way.
Like morbidly obese,
Yeah.
I guess.
He couldn't get out of bed. He was just stuck in bed. I don't know how he washes himself, but you know, we've seen he tracked his he posted on the support group, you know, his progress, and he's lost half his size, but there's still a long way to go. There's still you know, but over the past 1 year, I think he was like somewhere around 300 kilos.
Oh wow.
Or more,
So
because he couldn't get up.
So he's lost 150 kilos?
I think so, yeah.
Wow.
So he can walk now.
That's
he can
great.
walk.
That's
yeah,
really,
you know, so anything to do with cutting your body up,
You're not.
you know, for me
Right,
personally,
yeah.
I wouldn't go that route.
That's
I wouldn't
right.
go down that route, because once you cut through, I mean, even as a therapist, once you cut through the skin and the muscles, the layer of the skin and the muscles and whatnot, to remove, say, a prolapsed disc, you know, that's impinging on the nose, you leave that scar, and that's what we call it fibrosis of the fascia, you know. And
you explained to me what the fascia is. Yeah,
and
it's like a web.
Yeah, a web of it's actually made of collagen,
Okay.
collagen. Huh? So, but it's got 6 to 10 times more nerves running through this layer compared to the muscles. So when you cut through this layer, it tends to bunch up and then harden, and it rubs on the nerves. And then so someone who's done an epidural or who's done a C-section or any surgery for that matter would have that constant uncomfortable feeling. Yeah,
It will leave you with a lasting pain in that area.
Yeah. And that's when I realized, it's caused all the shift in the hip bones, especially for the mothers who went for the C-sections and epidurals.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a trend basically. And so I mean, if we let going under the knife be the last option.
Right. Yes.
Not the first option, basically. Yeah. Because once you change something, it's hard to get back to your original form, you know, because you've tempered with it. You know.
Right. Yeah.
And the problem with people, especially women, whatever pains that they may have, they just ignore it. When you are feeling pain, it's your body telling you there's something not right. Please tend to it, not ignore it, because then it may worsen. Like when we talk about, you know, distribution of the weight across the spine, when you feel pain anywhere in your body, especially along the spine, and you ignore it, after a while that pain might be gone, but it'll be passed on to a different spot along the spine.
Okay,
Because it's all about distributing weight.
Right.
You know,
Right.
it's all
Well,
about
that
weight
makes sense.
distribution. You know, and then by that time, your condition would have worsened. So many
Yeah.
things for us to treat and to tend to. You know.
Right.
So this is another bad habit of us today.
Ignoring pain.
We ignore
Yeah.
our pain. Yeah, when
Yeah.
it's actually it's like a thermostat to tell you there's something
Exactly.
not right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look into
Always
it.
listen to your body.
Listen to your body. I keep
Yeah.
on telling that to my clients. You must listen to your body.
Mm-hmm. That's something I hold dear as well, because I do a lot of weightlifting, and in the past year, no, it wasn't the past year. Actually, it was back in 2020, and I was struggling with tendinitis, and I thought it was just in the knee, right? But then when I started getting, physiotherapy, they were saying, oh, it started in your quads. That's why you feel so tight when you try to squat down. So yeah, like you said, it just shifts, and it starts somewhere.
It starts radiating.
Else. Yeah, basically. Yeah, it just spreads, and then the longer you leave it, the worse the other places get.
Yes.
So yeah, so for me, it wasn't necessarily just a tendinitis in the knee. It was like my IT band, my quads.
Yeah.
So I hold that very dear to myself. Like really listen to your body. But now, literally, you can't, because they're telling you to take the damn vaccine and don't, telling people that ivermectin is horse-based.
Yeah, I mean,
they're literally telling you not to listen to your body right now. Like
true.
when we say my body, my choice,
Yeah.
they tell you you're selfish, that you are a threat to society, that you're going to put everyone else in danger. How am I supposed to do that? How can I listen to my body when the government and everyone else is telling me that I'm bad, I'm evil for doing that?
Selfish.
How do we go about that?
It's all about unlearning everything that we have been taught, about health, and it's really a personal journey for everyone to discover. Because for me, because I've always been a sickly child, so as an adult, I was always looking for the next answer. Why am I having all these aches and pains? So I've gone into podiatry. Oh, all this pain came from your feet. How the toes are splayed out, unevenly and things like that. And so and then it led to, it's all down to your diet. You're eating too much processed food or white sugar that's causing to flare up all the inflammation, or because whatever pain that you have, it's inflammation. So how do we bring down inflammation? So it was a process for me in the last 10-15 years, trying to understand where does this pain come from, so which today it's been summarized in the form of your mental health, your spiritual health, your emotional health, and your physical health. So physical health is all about eating well, moving, not leading a sedentary lifestyle. And emotional health is all about how do you manage your emotions. Are you someone who just tends to just blow up, and get emotionally violent and abusive when you're not happy? So these are the things that you need to look into. And then how are you mentally? Are you a positive person? Are you a pessimistic person? So all these things lead to your overall health, basically. So when you think better, you feel better, and the aches are lesser, basically. It's just a fact. So when your stress levels are down, you're less tight. So modern medicine has really removed this mental and spiritual aspect, from the human health. It's just all physical now. Hence, what about feeding of the soul, feeding of the mind, and
Exactly.
on top of just, in fact, today there's not enough mention of feeding of the body with good food, with real food. There's no talk of boosting your immune system. There's none in the past 2 years. Eating well,
Well, they've
you know.
outsourced it all to the vaccines.
Yeah, it's all about just get the jab and get healthy, and that is totally against my principles that I've developed over the last decade or so,
Yeah.
in trying to understand what makes me feel good and what doesn't, and so whatever that's going on right now, the narrative that they're pushing down on us is in total conflict with my personal philosophy and understanding of health, and that's why I am what I am today.
And I admire you for that. Yeah. Also, I suppose I should have actually brought this up earlier when I introduced you, because you are known as the Lioness.
It's not something that
Well, I mean,
yeah,
it was thrown around quite a little bit, Lioness Liyana.
Yeah.
So coming back to that thing that made you an internet sensation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it had something to do with the vaccines.
Yeah.
So what was it that you were you opposing the mandates on children?
Yes.
Right.
I mean, I'm all for, everyone has the right to choose what they want for themselves. As much as I disagree with the vaccines, but if you think that it's good for you, carry on. I'm not going to stop you. I'm not going to debate with you. If that's your choice, so be it. But the issue or my concern is that you're forcing it on everyone else, at the cost of not being able to lead their lives, like before. So you're turning it into what was a God-given right has now been turned into a privilege. If you consent to this forced vaccine, and it's to me it's a total violation of my rights, and I couldn't sit. It doesn't sit well with me. And
so you took the initiative to speak up on behalf of other parents? Was it?
I didn't plan to do all that actually. Our friend Alif was saying, in case the press comes, at least prepare a small text, Liyana, to say that why were we there, why are we here? He said, tell them that we're not anti-vaccine, we're not anti-government, we're just pro-choice, and just give us some space to decide what we want for our children, And so I said, okay, but then and that was supposed to be what I was supposed to. That was what I was supposed to say. You see, and then the night before the trip to Putrajaya, I was going through some Telegram groups, and I spotted five different posts of teenagers getting injured post-vaccination. And I wrote down the names. The first one was this girl. I can't remember where she was from, but I think she survived. Form 5 girl, and then one of her relative posted it on Facebook. Airing their grievances. That this girl is now sick. And then the second one was by this mom, Hamizra Osman, who was ranting about her 2 kids are now ill post-vaccination, and they had to ward them get them warded in the emergency ward in Ipoh, some private hospital. And then there was another girl who actually died. She was an 18-year-old girl, because she not considered a teenager anymore according to KKM, because she didn't fall into the category age of 12 to 17. So she was supposedly not part of
an adult.
So they use that as a point to say that how should I say, I didn't present the correct facts.
With trying to mislead people. Right.
But what got me into trouble was the 3 other cases that I cited, and this was all from people's posts, screenshots of WhatsApp messages, uploaded on Telegram, and they were supposedly teenagers who died, school kids who died post-vaccination from the school in Ipoh, and one one teenager in Lahad Datu. So the last 3 cases got me into trouble.
Right.
But for some reason now they're coming after me for the 2 cases in Ipoh.
They're still after you?
Yeah. I
But they haven't really quite managed to make a case for it.
not
Because they
yet.
don't have anything to make it into a case.
That's what my logic tells me, but the government today has become quite illogical.
They have.
Yeah. So
Speaking of government, what was the thing that the health minister called you?
he just
mean-
he called me a liar.
He outright said that you were lying about.
Yeah, unmasked,
Mm.
outright lying. So but within our circle of friends, they had friends who complained that their kids became ill post jab.
Mhm.
They might not have died, but they weren't ill and they weren't themselves. So that's right after receiving the jab. We don't know what else would happen
Trigger,
to these.
yeah.
Would trigger in down
Mhm.
the years. We don't know.
Yeah.
Because So anyway,
But they keep saying that it's just a coincidence.
it's
is
okay.
it?
So
Yeah,
this
yeah.
kid didn't eat breakfast. This kid
Oh
just
my
had
God,
2
yeah.
spoons of
I
nasi
cannot
lemak.
stand that.
This kid had 2 bungkus of
Cannot
nasi
stand that.
lemak and
Perut
he-
kosong.
perut
Datang
kosong.
jab perut kosong.
perut kosong. So it's an
Unbelievable.
insult to our intelligence.
It
really.
is. It is.
But for some, I guess they just needed whatever narrative to remain in denial. I think it can be quite what do you call it? It could cause quite a shock, I suppose, to the system when you start to realize
You've been conned.
yeah.
But
by the system that you were
Mm.
supposed to trust,
to get
and-
to this level of being conned and being taken the piss, taking the piss on, basically, you would have to get to some level of complacency, really.
Yeah,
I don't think
yeah.
anyone is really that stupid.
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
What was it, or what is it that has been making people getting more complacent? Is it like, is it this risk reward? Like, I don't even think it's a risk reward thing. Like, they tell you get your jab, you get your freedoms back. Is there
No,
even
I-
risk reward in that? Like, to me, that's just you herding sheep, like telling the sheep, Oh, I don't know if you noticed. I posted in one of the groups, in our chat groups. There was this. It was actually from CBS, the
Mhm.
American broadcasting
Yes,
company. Yeah?
yes.
So they put out this tweet, right,
Mhm.
of this German farmer who got his sheep. He's herding the sheep, and it was a way of putting out the message to get vaccinated. And the
Mm.
like
It's like
I
they're
think
trolling.
exactly and they were just kind of without missing a beat, or
Yeah.
even trying to miss the point, because I guess that was the point. I think they genuinely wanted to put out the point that you are sheep,
Yeah.
and here we are literally getting sheep, herding them, and he was kind of throwing food, trying to lead them up to a trail, and then it was this shape of the syringe of basically a jab. So you got the sheep basically to line
Wow.
up, and he just
How come I
yeah.
missed that post? missed
it's
that
probably
post.
not in any of the groups
Oh,
in
okay.
any of our own
Oh, okay.
that we're
okay.
both in. It's probably a
Okay.
different group, but yeah, it was a German farmer,
Mhm.
and the way that CBS put it out was that he's this guy who just wants to put out the message, get vaccinated,
Yeah.
and he was using sheep.
Do you know what? A lot of us. That's why I keep on going back to the fundamentals of health.
Mm-hmm.
Is that you have to be aligned mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. And part of this, the spiritual aspect of things is that you have to understand what is the purpose of you being here. Right now, most of us have lost that sense of purpose.
Yeah.
A lot of us just really think that life is all about either going to school, but essentially as an adult, you do your 9 to 5 job, earn a salary every month, pay your monthly commitments, feed your family, your kids, and then go off on a holiday.
And do that on repeat
Yeah.
till you die.
Yeah. Yeah. When there's a higher purpose to our existence, really.
Of course, yeah.
So when you quantify your life to just these aspects, earning, eating, shelter, and going on a vacation, it doesn't take much to herd you into a certain direction.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at all the awakened people in our circle of friends, circle of groups, circle of networks, they're not like those people, the average people. They know that they're operating on based on a higher purpose. They have a higher purpose.
Yes. Yeah.
And so and I think they've grown to become this version of themselves recently. Anyways, I know it is the same for me.
Yeah.
Before, it was just about my family members, my close circle of friends and family members. I try to educate them with what I know. But now I just want to push the message out to everyone, because we have basically been conned all our lives. We've been conned all our lives. Our parents have been conned. Our grandparents have been conned. And even their parents. So it's been a 4 generation of being conned. And it takes a lot of introspect and studying and reassessing history.
Yeah.
Of how have we become the people that we are today. And for the sheep, I'm sorry to say, they just don't have that brain capacity to
Yeah. And they get very irate when we call them sheep.
Yeah.
But then you have
I was a
CBS
sheep
tweet.
myself.
Yeah, well,
Yeah. I
then
was
you
a
have
sheep to myself.
people like, media outlets like CBS tweeting out literally, sheep being herded to tell them to get vaccinated.
Yeah.
How ridiculous! I mean, how dumb would you have to be not to see the point? Like at this point, that is literally the message that you are sheep.
Just follow the orders. Yeah.
Just
follow the shepherd.
Exactly.
Yeah.
At this point, I don't feel any, to me, there's no hate really for these people. It's just that I really feel sorry for them, and that in time, which they will eventually, they will realize, and it will be just too late, and then and I'm prepared for it actually. Like they will then turn to
around.
us, turn around and turn to us. And then start blaming on us and tell them why didn't we
you warn them? Yeah.
It's something I'm kind of I'm mentally preparing myself for that, but at the same time, like, I told you so. I tried telling you for 2 years.
Yeah. Remember the talk that we had with Dr. Joanne.
Right.
So for her, health comes in for 4 different.
The 4 bodies of health.
Yeah. And so the one that I wanted to talk about is your I organization, meaning yourself, your personality. Whether you know who you are, what you want, whether you're driven based on what you actually want to do, not what others tell you to do.
Yeah.
And so for as long as you haven't figured out who are you and what do you want and what do you aspire for, you would never assume responsibility for your actions and your decision makings. You would say, oh, he made me do this. He told me this, so I acted based on that, and that's why you're sick.
100%.
Because you don't take control of your decisions.
Accountability for you.
You're not.
Because in a way, you're accepting the fact that you're not sovereign. Only non-sovereign people will do that. Sovereign people like us, we know we have full control of our own bodies.
Yeah, it's a real fitna. It's a real trial. It's a real trial on the people, and because you've been conditioned, for so long.
Brainwashing.
Yeah.
Well, you used to just associate this whole brainwashing propaganda thing with dictatorships and North Korea and other countries where you have literally authoritarian regimes in charge. It's the
They're
whole
basically
world now.
taking the
It's
blueprint.
yeah, exactly. And they've kind of taken it to a whole new level. Like it's amazing the kind of heights new heights of
Basically,
authoritarianism they've reached
whatever
now.
you're seeing in China
Yeah,
is
right.
being rolled out across the globe. And
to me, like every time you talk of authoritarianism, it's like they're always like North Korea is always there. You know, they hold the highest. You know, they hold the standard for that. But it's a joke compared to like I saw this tweet. Like they're a parody news outlet. It's called Babylon B, and I follow them on Twitter. They're on all the socials. So they had this picture. It's a meme of Kim Jong-un coming over to the universities in the US to learn how to do propaganda well. Because apparently he needs to start taking notes now because the West is rolling it out like no other. Yeah, it's pretty impressive actually, the heights that we've gotten to. And the so-called, the West trying to dictate their democracy to us are literally now doing the exact opposite of what they've been preaching. Right. Well, we've come up to just under an hour now. It's just over like 50 minutes. So I guess before I wrap this up, is there anything else you want to say, like coming from your recent experience, like from you going viral and continuing to fight and speaking up? What would you like to say?
I just want to stay true to my purpose, and that is I'm a practicing Muslim, and for me I really value my my connection with my Lord, and I just want to live a life that He's pleased with. And one of the things that would allow me to achieve that is to be of service to others, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to be of service and be kind to others, and to tell them that there's still hope. Don't give up, don't give in, because at the end of the day, I think a lot of people are just like stumped because they think, how do we get out of this? You have to remember that yes, they are planning, but Allah is planning too. And as far as I'm concerned, because I'm a believer, the end game is the truth seekers, or those who fight for the truth, they will prevail. And so that's why I'm trying my best to be consistent and persistent in maintaining my sovereignty, my freedom, and my truth. Basically, this is what.
That's the motto or tag or slogan, I guess, for MFM, isn't it? Sovereignty, freedom.
Recently, my sister kept on telling me, macam dia kata, macam ni lah Kak Long. Okay lah, all this kind, you're having all these headaches, seeing how they're being, they're rolling out all these tyrannical rulings and laws and just wielding people according to what, to according to their whim, just using the mainstream media. Tapi akhir dia, jalan cerita dia, last kita menang. So we just have to be persistent, and I telling myself not to be telling myself to be fearless, because indeed the friends of the Lord, they are free from fear and they are free from sadness. So I keep on telling myself I cannot operate on the frequency of fear and despair, because when you do that, that's when they've won over us, because it is really a war, a psychological war right now. Don't you think?
I think the words mass formation psychosis is now trending from Dr. Robert Malone's recent suspension on Twitter.
So that's the fight basically for me, to tell my kids, no, don't give up. Things will get better, but it needs to, it will get worse for a bit, but then it will get better. So just
as they always do. It's darkest before the dawn. Yes,
it's
that's the saying.
Before the dawn. Yeah. So that's it, and I'm very grateful that I have the support of my my immediate family members.
Right.
You know, they give me a lot of strength to keep going, and especially my mom. You know, and
That's great.
so yeah, I'm grateful for all the mercies and the blessings, and I'm just trying to be true to myself. That's it. I'm not trying to be a hero. I'm not, just trying to live my truth. That's it. And I wish to end my life with Allah pleased with me, and I'm pleased with Him. That's it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I guess for those of you who are still trying to find yourselves and feel like you are awake, but you don't have actually the people within your vicinity, right? The closest people to you who are not, and you feel like you need to reach out. That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I've
MFM
learned
is-
that you have to pray a lot,
Yeah.
and then you need to reach out, and then
Yes.
for some mystical, under some mystical circumstances, the right people will just be sent to you.
True. The same way that we've been sent to each
like
other.
we really connect, right?
Yeah.
We just
We do.
gel, and it was just through text at the start,
It was.
and then voice notes, and then it was just giving sincere advice to one another and sharing, sincere opinions,
Yeah.
right? And
It was all Allah's plan. It was the Lord's plan.
But
yeah.
everything that's happening right now is God's plan. So I'm optimistic that in the
As
end
I am.
we will triumph. Yeah.
As I am, indeed.
So, like what our friend Adrian once said, being in the middle is on the wrong side of history.
Yeah.
You know.
A lot of people are still there.
Yeah, being in the middle is on the wrong side of history, because your middling, according to Adrian, is what's perpetuating this tyranny.
Yep. And there's so many things we can actually really kind of address that with. But you're either pro freedom, you're either for freedom, or you're against it.
Yeah.
And that's it for this episode.
Thanks, Hazween.
Yeah. That's all for now, folks. We'll see you, or you'll listen from me. You'll hear from me in the next one. Bye for now.